All right, what is up, guys? Trying to find a good place for my microphone right now. Want to do this live stream on what are tactics because it's kind of like there's a lot of words that have lost their meaning, right? They've gotten bastardized. I think tactic and tactical and tactics is the worst one so far, as in like man, that word has gotten so abused. It's been used so many times in so many different ways. It's kind of like the word transition, right? Like we're doing a target transition. We're doing a rifle to pistol transition. We're transitioning out of the vehicle. We are transitioning from covering this to covering the bridge. It's like it's kind of gotten nuts, and I think that's a part of why people are afraid of like learning tactics. Is there's one thing that sticks out to me is like some guys I train with, and like respect to them, not talking shit. Of course, I'm still going to continue training with them, but they say like, "Oh, I don't teach tactics," and I'm like, "But you do," and we will get into that now. So, what exactly are tactics? Well, first thing I'd like you guys to do watching this is just be like, put answer one, or this is my guess as to what tactics are. This is how I define tactics, and go ahead and comment how you define tactics. I'm very interested in hearing it, or if you've heard it taught one way or another. There are definitions out there, and I accidentally had one on the screen, but we'll get to that one here in a second. So, what are tactics? Well, tactics are logic. We can think about it like that, right? Like, because when you think about like what the different tactics you use are, they're really just using logic. Like, if I do this thing, it's going to put me at an advantage. So, like, tactics like I use cover, a phrase I fucking hate so much, but using cover, logically, I'm going to put stuff that will stop bullets between me and bullets. I'm going to use concealment. I'm going to put stuff in front of me where the bad guy can't see me. That's logic, right? It's tactics, but it's logic. Um, Movement, right? I'm going to move to a better position so I can shoot that guy. Okay. I'm going to move so I'm harder to shoot. I'm going to move so I can add pressure on him. And then we're going to start getting a little autistic on it in this sense that we're talking right now. But basically, to me, tactics are simply using logic. I'm not teaching tactics, I'm teaching logic. And within that, there are skills, right? So let's get into some of the definitions. Now, I've seen definitions as far as like how military forces deploy different combat units in this strategy to blah, blah, blah. Yeah, could be. Or the definition I like is using available means to achieve a desired outcome. I think that makes a lot of sense. Now I can put this one up as a copy paste from the internet. Tactics are the methods that you choose to use in order to achieve what you want in a particular situation. I think that makes a lot of sense. Jaeger always said tactics are doing things that give you more chances to shoot than the bad guy has. I think that makes sense. Another good way to put it is doing things that put you at an advantage while putting your enemy, your adversary, at a disadvantage. I think that makes a lot of sense too. Now, so what does that really mean? How does that work, right? How do we put ourselves at an advantage while putting the bad guy at a disadvantage? Well, we can go into like what I've been teaching as the fighting variables, which is pressure, position, movement, and barriers. So let's just kind of talk through these kind of one by one. Get a spitter. So pressure. What is pressure? Now I'm interested in you guys thinking in a tactical sense. What would pressure be? So if you got an answer, go ahead, comment or think about it at least. But pressure the way I teach it, there's many forms of pressure. Now we all think about shooting the guy, right? That's ballistic pressure. It could be you're pointing a gun at the guy. It could be that you're shooting around him. Could be that you're hitting him. Could be you're hitting him in the vitals, or all the way up to maximum ballistic pressure would be putting around in his brain into the squishy stuff to end the fight, to end that bad guy. All right. Now, that's one form of pressure, ballistic. That's gun related, right? You could also have some sort of physical pressure, like you are entering his space. It could be punching him, stabbing him, any sort of thing like that. And there would be many different levels of pressure and how effective that pressure was on him. One of my favorite ones to think about is mental pressure, right? So tactics, right? Kind of applying mental pressure, throwing a flashbang grenade into a room. Well, that causes a lot of mental pressure. It disorients them, may temporarily blind them. It's going to be really loud. It's going to elevate their heart rate quite a bit. I don't imagine too many people are used to having a flashbang go off in the same room as them, unless you hang out with Gary Marr and Lewis too much. Then it just happens sometimes. But any way we could cause mental pressure, we could cause confusion on him. Like, oh, you move somewhere, he ducks into cover, you move somewhere else, he comes back expecting you to be at point A where you were, but now you're at point B and he doesn't know that. Mental pressure, right? There could be entering his space, moving towards him, using movement to cause mental pressure. Like a bad guy robbing you and you actually move into him for whatever method. Could be to go hand to hand, could be you're drawing, could be you're trying to position yourself behind him and something like that. Any number of things, right? If they were expecting you to do something and you did something else, and even they're expecting you to be on defense, but now you put them on defense by entering their space, that could be a tactic. That could be a form of applying mental pressure to them. Pressure, the basic ways to think about it would be like ballistic pressure, a mental pressure, and physical pressure. Now, position, right? So like, I use cover. The fucking worst phrase in the world. If you are doing force on force against dudes who have done more force on force than you, your cover means nothing to them. And that definitely can transfer over into a gunfight. There's a really good clip of these cops, and I think it was in Florida. They had pulled over this car, had several people in it, and they're going through their thing. And then before you know it, a dude jumps out with an AR pistol, they start sending rounds at each other. The cops go and hide behind their vehicle while the dude, you got the two vehicles. The cops go back behind their vehicle while the dude runs out. They lose him and he comes back behind them. And I don't think he even shot, but he fucking just started wailing on one of the cops with his AR pistol, just beating the fuck out of him. And I believe he was already shot in that moment. And then the other cop got his gun back working again. And then he mag dumps the guy with the AR pistol. And just think about, that was one dude who would, just looking at his gun, I wouldn't suspect he has a lot of training, right? But he sure as fuck did not want to go to jail, right? So what do? He used a lot of movement. And then when the cops positioned themselves for safety behind cover, then he came and wrecked them, by all means. I'm not trying to throw shade or say like, oh, I'm so much better than them or anything like that. But that's like what happened, right? And if that dude had a working gun that was going against the cops, like he very easily could have killed both of them. Like in that moment, there was so little time and the cops were reacting. They were put onto defense when that guy came back and attacked them. And if he had his AR pistol working with a full mag, Like he easily could have wrecked them. So, the whole like I use cover thing when things get where you're not hiding behind barrels and shooting at paper, but you're shooting at people who are trying to also shoot at you, that cover gets quickly defeated. So pressure, position, putting yourself at a better position to put him at a disadvantage. Movement can facilitate a better position. Movement can facilitate pressure. Movement can facilitate safer angles. Lots of different things, and the four work together: pressure, position, movement, and then last would be barriers. So ballistic barriers is kind of like cover, very relative to what's being shot at you. I just think of a ballistic barrier as something that degrades the round coming at you, right? It's going to slow it down, hopefully break it apart, and hopefully deflect it into something that's not aimed at your vitals. A visual barrier, concealment. Most cover is concealment also. And then spatial barrier would be like either I'm using distance to put myself at an advantage. Like if I'm a really good shooter, I can stay further back. If there's a dude with a knife running at me, I'd like to put some tables in his way or a vehicle in the way, something that he has to go around to get me so that he's not able to move in a straight line. He has to go around, and that gives me more time to do things to put myself at an advantage. So that's kind of like the thing on what tactics are right now. One big thing is I think within my circle, we got away from shooting too much, but then the other circles, a lot of them got way too into shooting. All right. So that can be a detriment on both sides. So, the thing I'm trying to achieve, one particular thing of my focus right now for my classes is trying to make better shooters, but not static better shooters. Right. There's a lot of static shooting that's required in classes to explore different concepts, like I can't have guys just moving the way I want them to move, especially not when we got like 5, 10, 20 people on the line at once. That's where a lot of people have been, it's become a cliche saying that, that one step that they do on the draw or on the reload, that's not really getting off the X. It's like, yeah, we figured that out. And we even said that when we were teaching that. That one step is to initiate movement. That's to have it programmed in your brain that gun stops working, feet start working. And you can see it in drills, like even a cover drill. When I have guys that have taken a lot of training before, right, but they have not done movement in any of those classes, what ends up happening? Well, when their gun stops working, they just stand there, or the drill's over. Okay. It's not supposed to be over. You're supposed to go to something else, right? But they've programmed that into themselves. So that's what they naturally do. We also see this in force on force. Force on force is generally a great tool to force people to use logic more, use tactics more, right? Because you can say things like, hey, keep your head up while you apply that tourniquet, be looking around, keep your head up while you do this or that, like don't reload in your jerk space, do it in your workspace, right? And guys will do that. They'll do a terrible job on the range, terrible job in dry practice, or like the dummy gun stuff we do. But when there's actual, a simulated threat of violence where if they fuck up, they get shot, suddenly they start doing a better job. So like that one step, could be on the draw, right? Could be on the reload, and thinking about like one thing I talk about with, hey, do that step on the reload is like when we do a cover drill, gotta be out of cover, then he'll get a reload and he'll stand there with his non-working gun, fixing his gun out in the open. Not saying there's never a time for that. Okay. Especially if you have, really pressurize the situation to the point where there's nothing out there shooting at you and you want to maintain a visual on what's going on, you could have a chance to pop back in if the threat came. Of course, I'm not trying to be absolute, but you can see the guys that don't really think in a martial sense and in a tactical sense or a logical sense. Like, my gun's not working. I'm out here in the open. I should probably move to a better position. So that's a lot of stuff I see now when, and again, our circle, I want us to be like really good at shooting on the move. Specifically, that's one of my big goals, is trying to create the better formula to get guys good at that. So far, I've seen massive improvement in my students on the shooting on the move, so I'm very happy about that. And I just want to keep making it better. Like, the place I want to get us to is a very hard goal, but coming up with different things. Even one drill that I came up with a little bit earlier that I already know 10 different ways we could run that to make it different. But stuff like that, where we're actually moving fast and shooting a lot. Like, the other circles, like practical shooters, competition type guys, they've been very focused on shooting, right? But it's so static. It's extremely static. Now, there's of course a time for that, and even I would consider being really good at shooting a tactic, right? It's pressure. It's ballistic pressure. You're able to put bullets where you want them to be to win the fight. That is a tactic, and that's also where there are skills within every tactic, right? Like, I use cover. Okay. Well, I'm seeing a lot of people say that if you put them in a cover drill, they fucking suck. Right. And then they learn how to work better at it. And there's, a lot of different modes of how you would work cover. Like, are you being sneaky? Are you trying to find the guy? Or do you know he's right back there and you have to now get him? Are you trying to get to a place quickly? Like, there's many, many different ways you could go about anything, right? And the way you apply that to the situation would kind of be like the tactic you are using, right? Now, the other thing is, like, seeing like the best shooters in the world, they're so static. I don't think if they were really moving fast while shooting, they would do a good job at all. Just because I never see them do it. Yeah, I never see them practice it. I think my students are actually moving faster than them. And that's not throwing shade or saying, oh, you guys are garbage. It's just like, that's the place I want to get evolved to. I want to get evolved to where guys can move really fast and shoot at the same time. Like, when I did the class with Sonny, there was a lot of drills I was putting students through. The class I did with Sonny and Lewis, it was shooter fire matrix, but a deep dive into the shooting fundamentals. A lot of the drills that I was teaching, we were doing static, because it's like there are so many different parts that I'm laying into it, that if we're trying to do it while moving, that just movement throws the most variables into it, right? Because it's like the way your body is positioned, the way, if your posture is straight versus slightly forward or even slightly back, like that throws a huge thing into it. The way your feet interact with the ground, how bent all your joints are, all that. There's a lot that goes into it. So if I'm trying to explain how to be target focused, or the way that you grip the gun and the way the other parts of your hand will interact with the gun as you're pressing the trigger and all that, if we're moving, you're not going to see it because there's going to be too much to see, right? But when we were doing those drills, Sonny would go and he would run some of the drills that I was teaching kind of off to the side, and he was like, he's like, he liked them, but the thing was he didn't feel good being stationary while shooting. He's like, I don't like shooting static at all. And I think that's the place we should all get to also. So probably be more things that I want to get into, but now I'm going to go through a couple comments. Be like water, my friend. Bruce Lee. That's a good one. Okay. Phoenix. What's up, Jose? Paper don't shoot back. Yep. And that was another good quote that I saw from Sonny, is that in every drill, there's at least 2 targets. You were one of them. And if people thought about it like that, I think they would think a lot deeper on everything. Bob Gibson, glad you like it. And appendix carry or strong side carry, which do you think is more advantageous? Thanks. Keep up the good work. Yeah, I prefer appendix carry. It's easier to get with either hand. If like this hand is completely down, I can still draw my gun from appendix carry. There's different things for that. I'd recommend taking a class to learn that. But appendix carry is in general faster, easier to conceal, easier to get with either hand. And also, if you think about if you had to wrestle with a dude and you're trying to retain your gun with appendix carry, I got both hands that can keep that gun in the holster. So even if he like were to get on this side of me and I was using this hand to keep that gun retained, I can switch hands, right? And I can still have retention on my gun with one of my hands either side. I can also bend over, and if I got on my face on the ground, the gun would be against the ground, not on my hip. So it's easier for me to retain. I prefer appendix carry. I've also I've done a lot of things. I've done like 2 guns in appendix, 1 gun in appendix, 1 gun on my right hip, 1 gun in appendix, and like both ways, I've done 2 guns on, 1 on each hip. I just find appendix. What I like is appendix carry, a full size Glock in my left front pocket, put a revolver in there. That way I have a left and right hand easy access gun, and then my revolver in my pocket. I can just stand there with my hand on my revolver. I could even shoot from my pocket if I really needed to. That's what I like. And I like having a spare mag on either side too, because I will go one-handed. It makes better movement. And if I have the gun in my left hand and it were to run out, if I have a mag my right hand can get, then I don't have to pass the gun to reload. And then if I needed to put the gun back in this hand, do that, I could just grab that mag and keep it running. And I got to edit together the video on the holster I like, but anyone can drop a link. The Trempendix, Tremis Dynamics, I think it's called Trempendix. There's like a couple different ones, but the First Wave signature Tremis Dynamics holster, I really like that one. All right, tactics guys, what questions do we have on this? Now, again, thinking about guys who say like, oh, I don't teach tactics, right? Shooting definitely is a part of tactics, right? Because if you can't shoot, then that's going to be a huge problem. That's going to put you at a huge disadvantage. Like a dude, like I want to be so good at shooting that if I have a pistol and he has a rifle, I'm still a better shooter than him. I'm still more surgical at greater distances than that guy, right? When I pick up a rifle, I want to be better than at distance than the guy is with a rifle. I want to be better with a rifle in close quarters and able to move better than the average than the other guy is with a pistol, right? So even if I had a 20-inch AR, I should be able to go through close quarters areas smoother than a guy with a pistol, even though he's working with a thing this big, right? So he can collapse that down a lot. I should be able to work a rifle more efficiently than that guy with a pistol. I should be able to work a double barrel shotgun, break action shotgun better than the guy with a pump. And I should be able to work a pump shotgun better than the guy with a semi-auto, right? Like your skills with a gun matter a lot. And if the big thing to think about simply is that you are gifted opportunities to shoot the bad guy because he fucks up, or you earn opportunities to shoot the bad guy because you do a good job. But when you have that opportunity, that's a small window. You have to be good to actually take advantage of that window. If you think about one of the reasons why I want to get guys really good at shooting on the move, and especially moving fast, is if you can just be a hard target because you move fast, right? But then you can still shoot really well. That gives you a lot more opportunities to shoot, right? where like one guy is going to be like, yeah, I'm not even going to bother. I'm just going to run really fast, then stop and do my shooting. Right. Well, that limits that guy a ton, like way too much. And another thing to think about, right, is like Navy SEALs, Delta guys, all the cool guys, right? When they go do a raid, they put themselves at the biggest advantages possible, right? Like, hey, we're going to go in at night when he's sleeping, when his guards are shifting posts or really tired or whatever. We're going to overwhelm him with like way more guys than he has. And then we're also going to have helicopters and airplanes that can shoot missiles. And we have a platoon full of Rangers ready to come back us up if we fuck up. Right. Well, think about how would a criminal target us, right? So, you know, your wife, your kid, they're the biggest targets, right? Like, not too many criminals are looking at, hey, who's that, you know, camo bro over there, that dude with the big beard, or that guy that's got a gun printing out of his shirt, that guy who looks like he carries a gun. They mostly do not target you, right? But if they did, what would that look like? They'd probably think they could take you. They would probably do it where you're at a huge disadvantage. They would probably outnumber you. They would basically try to do the same things that Delta guys and Navy SEALs do to terrorists and stuff, right? They would try to do that to you. So you would be at a huge disadvantage. So by all means, you actually should be better than the Delta Force guy, the Navy SEAL guy. That whatever badass guy you think, you should actually be better than him, because you don't have that platoon full of Rangers backing you up. You don't have that advantage, and you're probably in an ambush. They're probably fucking targeting you because they thought they could take you. Now, Ashgaru Defense has a comment: performance beats tactics. LOL. Yeah. So I've heard that before. Performance beats tactics. Now, good, because it's along the same lines of the conversation. But my simple thing I say to that performance beats tactics. Are you going to say that? Because I've heard that quote before too. Would they say that to the family of a cop who got shot in the back of the head while sitting in a squad car? Did his performance beat a dude coming up, catching him off guard and putting one in the back of his head? No. That's why tactics do matter, right? And again, tactics are just logic. So I don't get it when people are so like against the idea of tactics. And the other thing too, one of my gripes is it seems like the way a lot of people think is like, we're going to get really good at this practical shooting thing. Like we're going to learn from the best shooters in the world, the competition shooters. And okay, yep, that's good. There's a lot of good stuff you can learn from them. I learned from them too. Again, I'm going to be taking a class with Coast to Coast Tactical, and he is a masterclass USPSA shooter. I am very excited to do that. Talked to him on the phone a few times. Really cool guy. I'm very excited for that. But so we're going to learn how to do the shooting thing the best possible. You know, people are trying to become masterclass USPSA shooters basically. And then that gets you into the shoot house. Okay. So the shoot house, and this is where it's like, I see a lot of guys, the force on force training that they get, there's kind of like two different lanes. It's either a shoot house type class, like a team tactics type class, or ECQC type class, right? And that's the scope of the force on force. Sorry for hitting the mic. The scope of hitting the force on force that a lot of people are getting. So it's either we're grappling with a dude for with a knife or a gun or something, or we're going with a team into this building and we're going to clear it the way SWAT teams and SF guys do. I'm not saying don't do the team tactics class. I think those are really cool. I've taken Green Line Shoot House Level 1, came from Marine Corps Infantry. We did stuff like that too. But it's kind of like, why? Again, I'm not saying don't do it, but logically speaking, what team do you have to clear buildings with? You know, also, why are we doing it like cops? Why are we doing it like a SWAT team? Like, I'm not on a SWAT team. Hopefully I'll never be on one. I don't want that job. But if I had to clear my house, most likely thing someone broke in, and the main reason I would really be clearing it would either be like I am not sure if someone came in, I think they're outside, but I got some sort of, you know, stimulus that was telling me there's people trying to get in, right? So I might clear my way to see what's going on out there, because let's be honest, we don't call the cops at every noise we hear, right? Or someone did break in, I gotta get my daughter, or maybe I think someone's coming in, and now I gotta go get my kid, bring him to the safe location, right? So that I can handle the rest. That would be the most likely thing for room clearing, and that would be for me one man, right? Because my wife is going to be with my daughter, and then I have to go get my other daughter, or hopefully she's already come by, and now I have to do everything by myself to see what's going on. Now, if it was like real bad, I wouldn't want to go clear. Like if they were breaking in, I would want to get to a good point of domination, right? And we go to a place that gives me an advantage. Oh, that's a tactic. What the fuck? All right. And I would want to put them into a death funnel where if they come through this area, there is no good way to get through this area, right? And even thinking about the ways that even if it were like a SWAT team coming in, right? Have we ever seen a SWAT team? Like, have we ever seen footage of a SWAT team going against a dude with just an AK and a drum magazine, maybe two, right? Who just throws rounds through the wall? How does it fall apart there? Because, like, if you watch, you know, they enter rooms in a certain way. There's a certain formula, a playbook to it. But if we added a ton more chaos, what would that end up looking like? When you think of the Dallas shooter, Tom, help me out. Let me know how many people were shot, or anyone can look it up. But it was one dude took on a whole bunch of cops. I think there were civilians with rifles there too. And they ended up having to use a robot with a bomb on it to kill the guy. If we think about the North Hollywood shootout, two dudes with armor, full autos, like drum mags and stuff, right? They basically just use ballistic pressure and armor. And that's one of the things too, where it's like, yeah, you need to be fucking good at shooting, because like those cops there, you know, it's a very exaggerated example, but it's a real life example. The cops there just had pistols. I don't imagine they were, you know, great shooters. And they ballistically were very overwhelmed to the point where rounds were, you know, their plan completely fell apart. They were like, we're going to go behind the squad cars and vehicles. We're going to use that as cover, and we're going to shoot at them. You know, I use cover. Well, we're not able to use cover. So, and I did a class on the North Hollywood shootout at Alumni Weekend at Tactical Response. I think it's on Liberty TV. If you're a member there, I think you can watch it. If not, you should become a member anyways. Watch that stuff. There's a lot of good training content you can learn from. But like listening to the interviews of those cops after the fact, you know, there's the things that they were saying was like they had AKs and we just had 9 mils and 38s. There was nothing we could do. Or, you know, they had body armor. There was nothing we could do. And even there was one cop where he dragged his buddy. You know, they were behind the cars, took all the incoming. His partner got hit, so he dragged him up into a dentist's office, and they just held down the stairs at the door. I don't think at any point the North Hollywood shootout bad guys wanted to go into the dentist's office to finish off his partner. Logically, I do not think that was their goal at all. And I think he was trying to get his buddy off the X, and he didn't want to go back out there. So then other people had to deal with it. In my opinion, I'm not trying to talk trash on him. I wasn't there, you know. But there was a very defeatist mindset going on with those cops, right? Again, oh, they had rifles, we just had pistols. They had armor, there's nothing we could do. They had full autos, there's nothing we could do. So it's basically like, okay, our cover isn't working and our guns aren't good enough. That's basically, if you listen to the interviews, that's kind of the message I was getting. All right. So again, you got to be better than that. Like if you're a dude who trains, train to a high fucking standard. Now, Tom at Ashgar Defense said 5 cops were killed at Dallas police shooting. And I haven't seen it, but talking to Tom, he said that the guy was like switching shoulders so he could use cover better. He was changing his position. And he was at a position of advantage too. So one guy can hold off all those cops, right? North Hollywood shootout. 2 guys with armor and machine guns. They held off the whole LAPD for 44 minutes. And someone wants to throw up the stats of how many rounds were fired and stuff like that. That would be cool. I think it was a total of 2,000 rounds, and I think it was 1,200 from the bad guys, but someone else can throw up the stats and you should look it up on your own. This is just what I'm recalling from memory, and I looked at the numbers a long time ago. But 2 guys for 44 minutes. And I think it was, I don't know if it was Philadelphia, but I remember Yeager talking about a story or one guy with a rifle held off. Like he just held up in a house and I think he was there for like 17 hours. And, it's of course the situation's different. Like, why would we go in there, if he's at a huge advantage, right? You can wait him out. You can deprive him of sleep and all that. So that's tactics right there. That's logic, right? But one dude can do that, right? So if you only think ballistically, how good at shooting am I, right? That matters, but it's not the whole picture, right? Because the first example I used with the guy getting out of his car, I guarantee he wasn't good at shooting. I don't think he even had stock on his AR pistol. And from what I remember, it looked like a $30 red dot you get from Amazon, right? I don't imagine he's a great shooter, but he did fucking move fast. He had a lot of violence of action, and he came back and started fucking smashing on that cop with his rifle, even when it wasn't working. And, I guarantee those cops are better shooters, but they got pretty fucked up from that guy. So think about the bigger picture. All right. How could they have used what they had to the best of their advantage? Talking about the North Hollywood shootout. So one thing would, one thing to think about first is allowed versus able. They were not allowed to have rifles in their squad cars. So just fucking break that rule, because no one would have been upset with them for taking a rifle out in that situation. And if they did, they were still doing the right thing. So like a cop who's not allowed to take a rifle in their squad car because they're not qualified or whatever, they would have really appreciated that dude breaking that rule. And again, when we talk about like, what are you allowed to do? Like I talk about use of force with what are you allowed to do? That's the legal side. Tactically is what should you do? And then morally, what can you live with? All 3 of those are conflicting at once. Well, I think one of the cops in the North Hollywood shootout could have lived with getting in trouble for having his rifle there, right? Like his own personal rifle. And even though he wasn't allowed to, even if he got in huge trouble, I think he would have been like, yeah, I did the right fucking thing, right? Because for myself, I could live with getting fired from my job for doing my very, very best to save lives, even breaking the rules to save lives, right? But if I were one of the cops and I was like, well, I'm not going to take my rifle because I'm not supposed to. Same thing with like, you're not allowed to take your gun at the post office. You're not allowed to take your gun when you go pick up your kid from school. all that stuff, right? Yeah, not allowed to, but I think they would have really appreciated having it. It would have made sense. What should you do? You should take the rifle. Um, what they could have done though, with what they had. Oh, also on that note too, they went and bought a bunch of rifles and tried to bring them to the fight, but they didn't. The rifles did not get there in time. They just bought them from a store. But what they could have do with what they had is they could have kept shooting. Number one, like if you still have bullets, you can still shoot, even if they're not that good. And it's like at least hopefully we're going to cause some damage to him. Like he may not be able to apply, the most lethal ballistic pressure of shooting him in the head because, maybe you've never done a shot that far. But they could have kept shooting because they did actually injure. They did injure the guys at least with their pistols. And even you can see one of the guys, he's shooting still, but his arm was fucked up, right? So he wasn't even really using his sights so much. He was just kind of supporting the gun and shooting. And like I have drills that I do with my students. I call that doing it with a nub, right? Like you're not fully using this hand, but we'll like put a water ball in that hand, a crushed up water ball, and just wrap tape around it. And then you can still use it. It's just not good, right? So trying to figure out how can we do that. So kept shooting. They could have positioned themselves better from what I have seen. So it wasn't so much like a firing line shooting at them, but if they had like encircled them the best they possibly could, that could have been better. But it would be a good thing to like watch the videos, watch the interviews, and think about that. What could they have done with what they had? I mean, there's a lot of different options. I think the main one is guys shouldn't have been running away so much. Because I thought that was a problem. But then again, eventually, I don't know how many cops were there at what time. We don't necessarily need the guys bleeding out to stay there if other guys are coming to take over their job. All right. Now, your opinion on suppressed rifles. Yeah, cool. I just make sure it runs well and make sure your cannon doesn't get launched. I think if you don't have night vision, then you shouldn't be buying a silencer. If you don't have training, you shouldn't be buying a silencer. If you're not really good at medical and haven't done force on force, like just think about what are your priorities, right? I would tell you someone take a pistol class, take a medical class, take a force on force class, do some hand-to-hand, low light class, a radio class, and a knife class would be good too. And then there's a lot of other things you can get into, but like think about what you're not good at before you buy a silencer. And also I've like definitely seen guns that had a silencer that ran like trash. So don't get too excited about it. Also, there is definitely something to be said about like a really loud gun being shot at someone is scarier than a quiet gun. There is, thinking about mental pressure, that can be a thing. I know everyone got mad John Lovell for saying it, but if you haven't stood downrange from a short barrel rifle, might want to experience that versus a silenced gun. All right, they borrowed them from the store, and the store lost their FFL. Fuck's sake. Yeah, could we have gotten rid of the ATF back then? Like, did we do not see how gay they were in the 90s? Jesus Christ. And then people were like, oh, well, we should get rid of the ATF, but we need the FBI. We need the CIA. And like, you guys don't even know who fucking actually did the killing to American citizens when the ATF fucked up. It's fucking crazy. All right, double envelopment, or however you spell it, the circle. Yep. I took fighting pistol only. Okay. Got a deal on it. Yeah. Go take finish the trifecta. Me Action Medical and the fight. And There's also Tremors Dynamics has I think it's called Adeptus Pistol, and that is a scenario force on force class. There's different types of force on force, right? So like the fight is a decision making class. You're put into scenarios. They're not trying to burn you down. They're trying to like teach you to make decisions, right? And you're gonna make wrong decisions. It's okay, but that's where you learn, right? It's better to learn there than in a real fight. Then like Proving Grounds Pistol, my force on force class, that is more a skills based force on force class. There are times where we're trying to burn each other down, but it's a lot of like working exactly how you move, how you get that gun out, and like it's a lot more like think of like a fighting pistol type class, but you're doing every drill against another person. And also like not I originally my plan was to have everyone get shot like 500 times in a day. There would be good lessons in that, but then I backed it off to more of a we might do we do a lot of crawl, walk, run on different things like that. But yeah, you need medical and you need force on force way before you need a silencer. And the cool thing is if shit hits a fan, like guys who don't have force on force training and they do have a silencer, those will be available to you. As in they died and you're taking them, not that you murdered them. It's kind of like I saw someone asking on an SOE live stream, like what the best armor is to get. And I'm like, my first thought was like, if you're trying to keep your vital organs from getting shot, force on force training is going to do a way better job of that than any level of armor ever will. There are much deeper lessons than people think. Like a good way to put like the fight is that taking the fight will change the way you live your everyday life. May 3 and 4th, North Carolina. Oh, right on. Yeah, I remember seeing your name. They signed up because I got another. First, I was confused because I saw Everett in the last name spot. I got another student named Everett. But yeah, I'm excited to see it. Yeah, so May 3rd and 4th, as long as what he posted is correct. That will be in North Carolina. I'm doing a class with Jerry Gouge of Prepared Patriot. We're going to do Pistol Skills 1. That's a how to shoot class. And then we're going to do Proving Grounds Pistol, which is the force on force class is described. Glide in here. Yep. Yeah, man. If you can make it to the classes in North Carolina, please do that. I'm also going to put up something else I've been wanting to talk about, and I forgot to last time, even though I said I would. But we are doing the Combat Art Summit. Now, if you're about to take a class with me, then what you should do is if you've already signed up, you can email me. If you've signed up for a class, you can email me. I'll give you the discount code for the summit. If you're one of my alumni, I put it in the Facebook group, the discount code for the summit. It gets you $100 off. If you have trained with any of the instructors that will be teaching at the summit, they all have a discount code for their alumni to get $100 off of your ticket to the summit. So instead of paying $450, if you've already trained with one of us, you will pay $350. The other cool thing is that instructor will get a bonus for having you use their code to sign up. It's going to be at Taprack Ridge in Kentucky, Gray, Kentucky. I think it's here, Cobalt. I think that's the name of the town. It's going to be September 27th and 28th of 2025. That's this year. So last weekend of September this year in Gray, Kentucky at Taprack Ridge. Great facility. I actually had Rob comment earlier and he said hello. I don't know if I said hello. So hello, Rob. But great facility. It's going to be like this. We're going to have a live fire area, a classroom area, a force on force area where there's also going to be mats so we can do some rolling around type stuff. And then there's going to be a wooded area. Now we're going to do 4-hour block classes. Day 1, we'll do morning, afternoon, and low light. Day 2, we're going to do morning, afternoon, and then we're going to do a raffle. And the proceeds from the raffle are going to go towards Aiming for Truth, which is Kevin Dixie's foundation, Kevin Dixie of No Other Choice. Basically, he is mentoring kids who need it. Okay. So think about like maybe like kids that could end up in gangs, stuff like that. I want to get a better summary from him, but there's actually a link to Aiming for Truth in the description of the Combat Arts Summit. So you can check that out too. And please donate to that. Even if you got like fucking, hey, I can only throw $3, dude. It took him, I remember I saw an interview, it took him 7 years to raise $7,000. And so that's something we should all be supporting. Like he's doing good things, and that's what we should really be going towards. Like, it doesn't matter how fucking good we are at shooting tactics, any of that shit, if we're still shit people. So good way to be a better person is to donate to a good cause, and you should all do that. But anyways, yeah, so we're gonna do a raffle, give away some gear, maybe some classes and stuff, and that all the money from that raffle is going to go towards Aiming for Truth, Kevin Dixie's foundation. Now, the instructors that'll be there, tactical response should be there. I just haven't like gone over the details, but both Kayla, Joey, and Tim all were like, yeah, I'll be there. So I'll have to go over the details. They're not listed right now because they hadn't confirmed when I posted this, but of course I'll be there teaching some stuff. Sonny Pazikas, Forward Training Concepts will be there. Tremis Dynamics, Gary Marr. Definitive Training Solutions, Zach Bush. Pace Training Initiative, Calvin Lim. Performance Edge, Aaron Little. 0 Point Training, Mike Fiore. Preelectus Training, Jay the Nightmare with 2 T's. Gibson. Elkhart Concepts, Lewis Karras. He was also a tactical response instructor. So was Jay. So was Calvin. So was Gary. Prepared Patriot, Jerry Gouge. Then Homestead Medical, Chuck Peoples. Iron Forge Consulting, Jonathan Aldridge. And he'll be doing some medical stuff, some force on force medical stuff, and some low light medical stuff is what we were planning. And then Exodus Knife and Tool, my boy Jacob Peterson, the Alex Jones of the gun community, he will be there as well. So it's gonna be a fucking blast. So like I said, 4-hour blocks, morning, afternoon, and low light. Day 1, during lunch and during dinner, we'll have little blocks going on too. So if you're like me, where you don't fucking eat during a training day, like I'll teach a class and not eat till like 9 p.m. Because like, especially when you're teaching, your mind is so occupied that it's like you don't even think about being hungry. You're just trying to teach the class, right? Even when I take classes, I don't really tend to eat that much. I have done the sandwich thing, but honestly, I find that just like a little bit of jerky and a snack is fine. So if you're a guy like that, during lunch, instead of eating or waiting for the next thing, if you want to go do a little mini class, a 1-hour class, you can do that as well. Stuff we're gonna be doing, and you can just scan that QR code. I'm not sure if you can click it or not. Let me see this. I'm gonna put it over to the side. That looks kind of fucking whatever. We'll keep that. All right. But what are we going to be doing there? So pistol stuff, rifle stuff, shotgun stuff, hand-to-hand stuff, knife work, medical, radio, ambush. Gary wants to do a ambush class out in the woods. I imagine Jay's going to be with him on that. Medical, force on force in general. Shooting on the move. We're planning on doing a I think at the end of day 2, we're going to be doing shooting on the move 4-hour class. That's going to be fucking awesome. If you've done recently, if you have done Carry Pistol 1 or Pistol Skills 1 with me, like you see how I'm doing the shooting on the move. We're moving fast. We're shooting. It's awesome. Then, and I'm planning on doing that kind of like rifle, pistol, and shotgun all out. I think think it would be good if we just did it on paper so we didn't have to like worry so much. Because if you do steel targets and you're trying to keep a safe distance from the steel, it stops becoming shooting on the move. It starts becoming like people were walking and trying to hit with a little bit of motion in their body. And that's not what we're going for when we think about shooting on the move. Like, you know, the movement and how effective it is very relevant to the distance you are from the person shooting at you, right? So if you're real close, right, movement covers a lot of distance and it makes them work really hard to shoot you, right? We're going at that same speed far away. Isn't that great of a perceived distance? As in, up close, a little bit of movement is really fast. It makes them work really hard, you know, and like the angle that they have to track you at is much greater than when it's far away. Then they don't have to track you. You're not moving nearly as fast. The perceived speed and the perceived distance that they're covering, kind of like, you know, a target this big far away looks way smaller. It's not that good. So I've actually been moving towards doing a lot more shooting on the move on paper, simply because like at a certain distance, shooting on the move isn't effective. The distance we fight in is actually a lot closer than most shooting on the move drills, right? Because, you know, safe distance for a steel target with a pistol, I mean, guys will do like 11 yards, and some, you know, competition should do it way closer. And then you have to worry about the angle and all that. But basically, it puts in variables that make the drill less realistic or reckless, you know, because, you know, I've been hit just with spall of rounds, right? Never was injured, but it's like I felt them hit me and shit from steel targets. But if we just do it on paper, then the bolts are going to impact a berm. Fucking, we can be at any distance we want, and you can move a lot faster. And also, I can mess with the size of the target a lot more, whereas a steel target just is the size. And it's either hit or miss, right? So I like doing shooting on the move on paper now a lot more. But yep. And then okay, so let's see where I have shooting on the move, and then survival fire and bushcraft. That's gonna be from Jacob Peterson. Dry fire, that's gonna be like one of the lunchtime classes. How to dry fire. Also, I work dry fire into my pistol classes because there's certain lessons you get by watching your sights or watching your dot that you can't get as well in live fire because you're distracted by the bang, the bullet hole, and the recoil. And also, people just get nervous and shit. Where if you have them dry fire, they can see that, like, oh fuck, the way I'm gripping the gun doesn't keep the gun still, or oh, my fingers are pressing in, it's making the gun do that. Stuff like that. But then low light live fire, low light medical, low light force on force. I was planning on having Surefire there. They're not able to get there anymore, but I was gonna have a flashlight lecture. I'm sure I could get one of the instructors to give a great flashlight lecture and let people try out different lights too. And then active shooter lecture, that's gonna be from Zach Bush. Now the exact schedule and class descriptions will be posted later. Like I'm trying to organize that side, but you can sign up now. So there's the thing on your screen. You should sign up for that now. Also, as for my schedule, what I have coming up is classes in PA. You can sign up for it's Easter weekend, and if we don't get many signups, we're gonna end up probably canceling. So right now, if you take it, you're gonna get a lot of personal attention. But 3 days of force on force with Tremis Dynamics. So we're gonna be doing Proving Grounds pistol, and he's gonna be teaching it with me. It's not just me there, even though I designed the class initially. And these are all three of these. So Proving Grounds pistol, Killing Fields, which is more of a advanced, more autistic, deeper dive into the subjects that we do on Proving Grounds, and then some new subjects, stuff like hostage shots, buddy team tactics, and working around a vehicle. And then art of the bad guy, we basically have roles. Like, all right, there's the good guy role. He has to stop the bad guy. That's his job. And then bystanders have all these different roles. Like, hey, you got to carry a baby. Hey, you got to videotape stuff. Hey, you need to scream and freak out. Hey, you're deaf. Like they all will get something. Then bad guys, we give them roles. Steal the baby, stab Greg, shoot Tim, pickpocket this person. So it's a mental exercise in what it's like to be the bad guy. The other thing is no one will know the other person's role. So it is a scenario class, but it's a scenario class where it's less scripted. The script is simply what the good guy's going to be a good guy and he's going to try to stop the bad guy, what the bystanders do, and then what the bad guy wants to do. So you won't know if everyone's a good guy. You won't know if everyone's a bystander. You won't know if everyone's a bad guy, or if there's two bad guys or one. Like, you just won't know that. And there will be some chaos. Things I like, because there's like games we do in Gunfight Club where it'll be like, one is a secret active shooter, right? So you're trying to read the body language of everyone. And when the active shooter starts shooting and then people start shooting at the active shooter, it's also making sure you don't shoot the good guys, right? So they're like, the games are great for learning. It makes it fun. It also exposes new things that you don't get when you set up, rules within a drill or what you're trying to accomplish in the drill. So I really like that. And that's a lot of what like got me being like, hey man, let's make Art of the Bad Guy. So I'm excited for that. I'm also right now I'm planning on doing that the day before the Combat Arts Summit. We're going to do Art of the Bad Guy. That's my plan right now. I might change it, but if you sign up for it, I'll probably have to do that. So, all right. Then, all right. So that is Easter weekend in PA. And then patrolling the Homestead, April 26th and 27th in PA. And that's going to be in Brooksville at Noah's Place. Very excited for that. It's going to be myself and Jay Gibson teaching that, pre-electus training, former tactical response instructor. Well, I don't know. Maybe he still does stuff there. I'm not sure. And then North Carolina, May 3rd and 4th. Got it correct. Pistol Skills 1 and Proving Grounds Pistol. Then I'm going to be back. I'm going to do the Coast to Coast Tactical class May 10th. I got a class in Mayaka, 17th and 18th, Pistol Skills and Proving Grounds. And then Somerset, Ohio, patrolling the Homestead. And then Combat Shotgun, June 8th in Leesburg at Aries, Leesburg, Florida. And then New London, Ohio, the June 20th, 29th, Pistol Skills 1 and Proving Grounds Pistol. And then Taprack Ridge, be doing Carry Pistol 1. I just ran the new curriculum for that class yesterday, actually. In Mayaka, I did just a 1 day, just because of like the students scheduling stuff and whatnot. So I just cut out some of the other stuff. I ran the core drills, the biggest lessons, and also judging by like what the students have already done for training, what I thought was most important, right? So I didn't focus a lot on how to draw your gun. I didn't focus a lot on, like grip and trigger control and all that. It was very, hit the ground running. But the new format that I'm doing, where it's more exercises in the drills, like, hey, here's the thing we're going to do. Go up there, practice that, and I'll just give them little things to focus on and do better each time. And I'll gather everyone up if there's a big thing that I want everyone to do. But it's less like, okay, shooter ready, draw your pistol. Like, I'm not trying to do the step-by-step nearly as much. I do that for the few things I need it. When there's a procedure involved, like a malfunction clearing procedure or applying a tourniquet procedure, stuff like that. But fucking class was awesome. I had some new ideas on how to run like a scanning drill, how to run cover drill, and one of the things I was doing was using a laser to give a visual stimulus on the target. So basically, if you see a green laser going like that on the target, that means you need to be shooting at him. And thinking about how, and I didn't invent this. I got this from the guys at the surgical speed shooting summit and the Jaegerfest summit. But like we're usually training off of an audible stimulus, like ready, fight, ready, up, or beep, right? But you know, unless you're blind, your shooting stimulus in real life is probably going to be visual. And so we should train that more. So actually looking and right. And how many guys, if they're supposed to be scanning on a drill, are actually looking, right? So if you give them a reason to do the actual thing, like, hey, you're going to shoot the target when there's green laser on it, they actually do a better job, just like in force on force. You know, you tell people like, hey, keep your head up while you apply that tourniquet, or, you know, while you do this or that, or, you know, bring the gun up here so you can see what's going on while you're reloading it. When there's actually a reason to do it, like in force on force, the guy's going to shoot at you. They actually care about it. They actually do it. You know, you just tell people scan, hey, actually scan, you know, they don't have to do it. Their brain doesn't need to do it. So their brain naturally will become lazy on it. And that's not calling students lazy. I get it. Trying to say in the moment and really LARP the drill is difficult. Okay. $20 laser pointer off Amazon fucking made it a lot better. I liked it. Now, after that, July 11th, Friday, the day before alumni weekend, I'm going to be doing Pistol Skills 1 at Tactical Response. I think Kayla says she would be there. I imagine Joey will be there, assuming he doesn't have to do family stuff and then apologize, be like, sorry, man, I had to, my family, this and that. And then I'll be like, oh, were you being a great dad again? Oh, no, I'm so mad at you. No, it's funny. Joey, like, he won't text me back, and I'll be like, hey, reminder. And he'll be like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, bro, you're running a business. You're being a good husband and a good dad. I'm not upset. But yeah, Kayla will be there. Joey should be there. I know Garrett's going to be there. Charles, my Irish student, will be there. That's going to be a blast. And then I'll be teaching at alumni weekend also. Oh, I need to put that on the calendar. Are the Bad Guy, Great Kentucky, then the summit, which, I need to add the summit to the calendar. That's a mistake. And then Mayaka, Florida, October 4th and 5th, Rifleman 1, dope class. You guys are going to love it. And then Pistol Skills 1, November 1st and 2nd in Mayaka. Pistol Skills 1, Proving Grounds. So that's the schedule. That's what we got going on. I'm going to get back to the comments now. I feel like I spent too much time reading that. I can also just do this. Watch this. I'm so fucking tech savvy. Check this shit out. Whammo, multiple class registration. Sorry, it actually does cost money. It just says $0 because of website programming stuff. But yeah, that there, instead of like having to click on Pistol Skills 1, then find Proving Grounds Pistol and clicking that, you can just sign up for as many classes that are going on in one block, like one weekend at a time as you want. Now, let's get to the comments. Let's see. You doing any training in Louisiana? No, I don't have a place out there. If it's not hard for you to get to Texas, I am planning on teaching at Sonny's place again. I just have to get with them and schedule. But if you have a range that you can host me at, that's not going to breathe down my neck and make sure everyone's, being a FUD, then let me know. Just email me, and I'd love to come to Louisiana. I'm trying to do more traveling classes. In fact, I'm trying to stop sewing. I'm probably going to only sew stuff for my students here very soon. I'm almost caught up with my orders. Oh, yeah, Evan, I saw him in here because Evan, I'm making a bunch of radio bags for him. I'm hoping to be caught up with that within the next week or two. And hello, Evan, because I say hello, but I was trying to keep on what was at. All right. He's awesome. KD is the man. Yeah. Kevin Dixie's awesome. I've trained with him. No other choice. I'm actually going to be at the Train and Learn. Another thing I need to put on my calendar. Y'all should sign up for that. if your dude trains a lot, there's like probably like 3 tickets left. I'll be there. Jerry Gouge will be there. I think Lewis will be there, and I think Kayla will be there. They all were planning on it. So, and then Casey Pure Ballistics is going to be at the summit. Fuck yeah. Hey, we gotta get together and do some filming as soon as I get that Defiant ammo in. So Pure Ballistics, check out that YouTube channel. We're gonna be doing gel tests and stuff. Basically trying to make better ballistics testing videos. What's up, TJ? TJ's a beast at shooting on the move and in force on force. I've seen him. He does all the classes. He does competition shooting and he does airsoft. And I think it's really funny. It's like, if competition shooting is training, then why isn't airsoft? Why isn't paintball? Why isn't dodgeball? Like you can extract good shit out of anything. Don't overthink it. I'll be at alumni weekend as well. Fuck yeah. All right. That's good. Yeah, if you want to come up, I don't know how many days you're taking off or if you want to fly or whatnot, but if you want to come with me, I'm going to get in there early and teach on Friday. Just let me know. I like making 12-hour trips, 2-day trips though. Just so you know. All right. Well, that looks like everything. So like I said, classes go on PA, Ohio, North Carolina, Kentucky, Florida, of course. And then planning on getting some stuff scheduled out at Sonny's in Texas. When we run Shooter Fighter Matrix, deep dive into the shooting fundamentals again. You guys should really be at that. That's a collaboration between myself, Sonny Pazikas, and Lewis Karras. That class was fucking cutting edge. Like, I put that on my training resume as a class I took too, because I taught my part, but also the amount of new information I got from both Lewis and Sonny, and even stuff I've heard before, but now I got more pieces to it. I was like, damn, like my mind was completely melted by the end of it. It was fucking awesome. Great group of students that Sonny has out there too. A lot of local guys, fucking great dudes. One of them, Clem, is like a hero at the local bar for handling an disorderly drunk guy. And so it was cool too, because then we go to the brewery and like we're treated so well. So it was a great time. But all right, I get back to the things I do. So thank you guys for watching. Keep fighting communism. Kill all pedophiles. And remember that training saves lives.